Now, do you think that problem extends to other positions in the hospital as well? Because we're starting to see like nurse strikes and other things. Do you think like in general there's staffing issues due to like lack of capable people? Do you think it's lack of supply all around, or
I definitely notice there's lack of PCTs, which is patient care techs, a lack of like front desk technicians. You do notice a lack of nurses because you'll get a call sheet of like, which patients this nurse is responsible for. They're like, it's like four or five, potentially six. And you're just like, ooh, that's a lot to juggle. So and when you call them, you can feel it. There's a lot of verbal abuse that happens in that kind of interaction, but it's just like everyone's just so under stress because they're doing the job of like two, three people. So the shortage is wide and you can feel it, and we're just kind of all dealing with it as best as we can because we don't know what management is doing.
So the work conditions are a little bit rough just because of the pressure and the understaffing.
Lately, yeah, the understaff is like it's serious.
Is there a union?
I know it's possible to unionize labs, but I've yet to come across a lab that I work with that has a union.
Are you guys still supplied like proper PPE? Like, do you feel like you're getting enough materials to do your job, and you're just missing labor, like actual?
No, we get now during the pandemic, maybe not so much, but now, yeah, for sure they give us proper PPE. They have to give us proper PPE to do our job. They still do that. It's just, yeah, there's just not enough people
Do you
willing
think
to do this job.
people will kind of do the same thing as nurses and lead into a strike? Kind of how like nurses are just tired and
Hmm.
walking out of their job.
Right.
and if they do, what do you think will be that tipping point that leads them to the like over the edge?
I think if your management is so caught up in portraying a certain picture of your department and is not interested in telling you the truth of what it is, whether things are degrading, if they need certain needs to be met, if they need more funding, then yeah, people are getting more frustrated, and you're gonna have. I think they'll be more willing to strike, and I see that a lot in the lab. They're not being listened to at all. Management is kind of preoccupied with, and again, that's my perspective. I'm not saying that's everyone's, but management may sometimes doesn't seem like they have your back. So it's just like, I'm working overtime, but I've been for the patient, but also, do you consider me human? you know?
Now, say you guys do go on strike, what would be things that you guys would ask for?
If I could wave a wand and just produce a bunch of med techs. It's literally staffing. I'm just so tired of doing jobs with like three people. That's like a routine now. I don't even like question it. That's just the story. You're just having to deal with doing that much things and hope that you didn't make any grave mistake in the process of trying to keep up,
The
you
three
know?
jobs are within your realm of expertise. It's just you're one person.
Yeah, and there's too much going on, things are bound to slip up.
Right.
Do you think it'd be possible for maybe like maybe not having the 4 year degree, but having your job? 'Cause it sounds like you wear a lot of hats. Divvy them up and be like, okay, maybe a 2 year certification and allow them to be still competent.
There are some medical technologist programs out there actually that is a 2-year program. It's an associate's degree plus the 2 years that you need to do of clinical laboratory studies. So that does exist. The problem is, so that one's called a medical laboratory technician, and I'm called a medical laboratory technologist. There's a difference. The technician has to be supervised by a technologist. So most hospitals do not like hiring medical laboratory technicians. They want you to be a technologist.
Gosh, yeah.
So there's like, yeah, you can get the degree fast, but do the hospitals around you accept that kind of certification?
Now, would you as a technologist, would you accept them working under you? Like, would you welcome their help, or you think
Oh
you're like,
yeah, I'll welcome anything. I mean, I hate teaching, but I know I'm good at it. And I always welcome the students that come over to the lab for clinicals or even residents, because residents do a rotation in the lab just to see what it looks like. I love just telling them like how things work, how it works in the background. But yeah, there's just not enough of that. Like we need more educators.
word on that? So, what solutions do you think would happen, say a strike happened? Is it just solely staffing, or are there some things that you would also like to see
I
implemented?
Staffing and pay, because you're doing 8, 10, 12 hour shifts of exposing yourself to, I mean, you know what your job is. You're exposing yourself to biological substances, but at the same time, yeah, there's a level of risk that you're doing for your health doing this job. You're doing it for a patient, but you also want to be compensated for the risk that you're doing. And sometimes it's not always reflected.
Speaking of pay and that, like, what is, if you don't mind disclosing, what is your salary and what do you think the salary should be for encouraging maybe more people to go into the field? That's worth it.
Okay, I mean, I have like about 9, almost 10 years of experience now. I think 9 years. And I make around like 51 an hour. So it's hard because when I started, the base salary or wage was $20 an hour, and at the time I was like, oh my God, that's not gonna be enough. But you get annual raises every year in the position. If it's a really good place, you get a whole dollar, a raise. So like it really like adds up as the year you work. If it's other places, you just get a couple cents, so you feel like I'm not being paid what is naturally I'm supposed to be paid. So
But it's a job that if you actually stick with it, there is a promising pay,
there is always a job for you. There will never be a lack of jobs.
which is important.
And most hospitals now are doing better at doing an assessment every couple of quarters to make sure that they're paying their employees as best as they can. So that's been nice. Sometimes there's more bonuses that if the facility really cares about their employees, they're doing that and they're making sure you're well compensated for what you're doing. If they're not about that, then you'll feel like you're burnt out and you're not being appreciated for all that you're putting and all that you're putting into your job. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think for this next section, we're gonna go into any stories or anything you want to share.
I think I did night shift for most of my career, so there's not that many supportive staff there. There's no manager and no supervisor. It's just you and one other tech, right? So when stuff just randomly start failing all at once, you just stare at each other and you're just like, you just start laughing hysterically. No, if you walk in on us, you'd be like, what the hell is going on here? Why don't we have our results? And it's just like, we're not purposefully delaying anything. It's just everything's broken at once and we have two hands each.
And you've tried every avenue.
And we've tried every fix there. We're on the phone with the company itself, walking us through even more advanced like fixing techniques. And it's just, we can only do so much.
Oh my God, I really feel you on that
so
one.
there's stuff like that happening in the background, and all the nurses and the doctors serious like, why don't I have my results? Why are you guys taking so long? And you tell them, and they still don't understand that you're multitasking. You're calling a field engineer to help you fix it. You're calling criticals because you've resulted to manual testing because your main method is it's crapped out.
Yeah.
So now it's more labor and more of like you have to be very like focused. Don't make any clinical errors. It's so many balls in the air.
And when the few start dropping, you lose the rhythm, and it just
Sometimes like it's beyond you, and you're just like you're just laughing. You're just I'm doing my best for this patient, and I really hope everything turns out well. Because if you have to deal with the short staff. For now, I would like for it to go away, but
Oh my God,
it's the reality of like there's just some crazy stuff happening in the background.
So if there was one thing that you wanted everyone to, or if you wanted our listeners to know about your job, what would it be? What would be this closing statement?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Take your time. We can always edit it.
What I wish that knew. I mean, it's okay that people don't know the true background of what we do. That's fine. We don't do it for any glamour or recognition. We do it because we care. And I wish more people knew about it because it's a good career to start out of. If you really love just lab sciences or just science in general, it's a good career. It pays really well, and it's if you're science leaning, it's very easy to get into. And I wish more people knew about it because it would really help with the whole turnaround time for everybody. The amount of time you spend in the ER, the amount of time you spend in the hospital, like, yeah.
Just be more patient, guys.
See all the
You know, it
patients out
sucks
there?
to say that when you're sick, you know.
Just be more patient.
But
Patience.
we're all buying just like, all right, just and make it to the next.
Well, Tati, this has honestly been educational for me personally, like, and really a good time. We really appreciate you having on there, and cheers.
Cheers. Take it easy, animals, and stay wild.